Characters. That's what's going to draw your reader into your book. So, today I'm going to talk to you about the simple strategy I use to create relatable characters that your readers will want to keep reading about. All right. So, I have shown this before if you watch the subscriber to the YouTube channel, and this is what I call the character circle, and it is borrowed from Susan May Warren's book, The Story Equation, but simplified a lot. I feel like she adds so much that then it becomes confusing, and my creative brain likes it simple. It wants to have the least amount of information I need before I start writing because it wants to tell itself the story. My creative brain wants to tell itself the story during my first draft. And I have learned from years of writing that that is what will get me the best results and get me through the first draft the fastest, is if I do a minimal planning so that my creative brain just goes, oh, that sounds great, and is ready to run. So in the character circle, these are the things that I figure out for my main character or each point of view character. In the novel I'm writing for this intensive, I have only a single point of view character. So I've only done one of these, which I will show you after I explain this. So usually at the top, I have the character's name where it says character circle. And then the adjective and noun at the top of the circle is their struggle and their profession, married with their profession. That's usually how I do it. You can do whatever you want. Generally, that adjective and noun, Susie May teaches that you use that in your blurb. So it's a thing that's going to connect with your readers. How would they identify with this main character? Then the middle line is their moral center, which just like for us, we have something that is our moral center that drives us when we are making decisions and we're like, well, should I or should I? Our moral center says usually will lean towards one or the other. If you understand your character's moral center, what is that one thing that they keep coming back to that says, okay, when I don't know what else to rely on, I lean back on this, and that helps me choose my path. So that's your character's moral center. And then the bottom of it is the dark moment. So this is usually something that happens outside before the story starts, and it's a specific event that is going to be relatable to your readers and is poignant. So it has a lot of emotion. It's highly emotional, and it's going to jerk their heartstrings, so to speak. Now, what does this dark moment story is essential, because from it you complete the rest of this circle. You complete the fear, the lie, the external goal, and the secret desire, and it's all based on what happened to your character during this dark moment of their life. Now, sometimes, as in my case, it's a dark moment that is kind of a repeat of an earlier dark moment. Some people go, oh, it has to be some big childhood event. It doesn't have to be a huge childhood event. So if you have questions about the dark moment when we finish, I'd be happy to speak about it more. But I think it'll make more sense once I describe my characters. So from the dark moment, because of this terrible thing that happened in your character's life previous to the story, they now have a huge fear. They fear this one thing is going to happen because it's what happened during the dark moment. And they also believe a lie because they are accepting some sort of blame, usually, for the dark moment. And that is what has made them believe this lie about themselves, about the world, about how things are going to work for them. Again, I think the lie will make more sense once you see my characters, the character circle for my character for this story. But we all believe lies as we go through life. And so that's one thing I want you, if you have a hard time with that, to think about that. What are some lies I've believed that have affected the way I've made choices, the way I've reacted, the way I've interacted with people? Because this is a real thing. And because it's a real thing, it's going to help your readers connect with your character when they see that she believes a lie, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, I've totally done that before. It helps make them seriously relatable. Okay, because of the dark moment, usually it stems from that, your character has an external goal. However, the external goal can be completely unrelated. The external goal is what your character wants at the start of the story. What do they want? What is their goal in life? They want this thing, okay? And that external goal is going to change or adapt through each scene.
I'm gonna run it down with them.
Through each scene. So, what is your character's external goal? And conversely, I have a slide that shows that the external goal and the secret desire are actually connected, and they are. But secretly in their heart, they really wish this. This is what they really want. And part of the time, that's what pushes them toward their external goal, because they think, well, if I get this, then that will meet my secret desire, what I secretly want. Of course, just like with us, most of the time, that's not really how it works. But that's something we think as well. Why do we have an external goal? Well, because we think it will get us what we want, our secret desire. Okay, so I'm going to go forward and I'm going to show the character circle that I completed for Devin Brin, and I know it kind of cut off her name a little bit. So that's my main character, and she is a depressed naturopath. She's a naturopathic doctor who is depressed because of her dark moment story, which you can see at the bottom of the circle here. This happens actually in the opening scene of my story. She's in a car accident with her family, and her family dies. Her husband and her daughter are killed in this car accident, and she survives. Now, the reason this dark moment is so impactful for her, or doubly impactful for her, is because it echoes the loss of her cousin in a hiking accident when she was 19 years old. Okay, so her cousin, who was like a sister to her, and she doesn't have a family life. Her parents were career things. That's a whole different thing. But her cousin was like her only family and her closest confidant. They were like sisters. And they were hiking together, and the trail crumbled out from under them, and they both slid down, but her cousin slid farther and hit her head against a tree and a rock and went unconscious. And while Devin was like 911ing on her phone, blah, 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 to get rescue, she doesn't know how to help her. She's farther up. She tries to get down. She has a broken leg. She's trying to get down to help her cousin, but she doesn't know anything except for basic first aid. And so that informed her. She changed her major after that to go into medical. And then later she went into the naturopathic field. So usually that dark moment story informs so much about your character's life. And when it does, it connects the dots up for your reader once that dark moment is revealed. They go, oh, that totally makes sense why she this and why they that and da da da. Okay. So because of her dark moment, her moral center has become healing others. So she feels like if she heals others, that is going to help her get her redemption, win back, find her space again. And before, I had that being her secret desire. But as I moved through planning, I realized that's not really going to work for her secret desire, because it's deeper than that. I mean, that's really more of a spiritual thing. And since mine is a Christian book, there is that spiritual growth too. And a lot of times that's what can be confusing, because you'll have a character arc that does have spiritual growth in it if you're writing a Christian book, but it also will have just a mental and emotional growth. And so a lot of times it's hard to go, oh, okay, so which one am I making this for? And so some people will have like a different character circle for each thing. Okay, so this is their physical thing. All right, this is their emotional journey. This is their spiritual journey. And then they'll figure out how to make them all intersect. For me, too much stuff. The more I plan, remember, the more my creative side says, well, I guess you've planned everything, so you don't need my help. So I'm out of here. So I've learned to plan, that less is more in planning. And that planning this emotional journey for me, the emotional character arc, which is the most important one for connecting with your reader, is this emotional arc. So for planning that, that's what helps me the most, be able to, I can come back to it and go, okay, so how can I have this outer thing help her grow along her path? Okay. So the fear that she has is that she will always be alone. When her cousin died, she was alone. When now her family has died and she's alone. And so her greatest fear is that she's always going to be alone because that's how it's always been. So she's always going to be alone. And because her cousin died and her family died, but she somehow survives, she deserves to die. So that is the lie she believes. And that is what is going to inform her choice that she makes at the inciting incident. Okay. So your lie always informs choices. Your character is acting from this place of believing the lie rather than seeing the truth. And so during the story, people are going to have to tell them the truth. And eventually they'll be able to get glimpses of that. And we'll talk about that as we go through story structure and how that works. But the lie that your character believes about themselves is hugely will inform all their choices because they believe this lie instead of believing the truth. So her external desire at the beginning of the story is to join her family. Well, not from the first scene because that's when she loses her family. But after that, she wants to be with her family again. And then once she thinks she is going to maintain that, then she wants to escape the island. And that's where the bulk of my story happens. The whole middle point happens at her trying to escape the island because she feels if she does, she will join her family. Okay. So her secret desire, though, is to belong. She has never belonged. She didn't belong with her parents. She didn't belong anywhere. She belonged with her cousin, and she has belonged with her family. And she kind of feels like she belongs in her medical practice, but she doesn't really belong in her church because she's not understood. People don't understand her desire to heal others and her desire to not be alone, to belong. So that's her secret desire. So if you have questions about this, please drop them down so you can ask them. But I hope me completing this for my character, Devin Bren, helps you understand how to create a complex, relatable character that you can share with your readers that will help them engage in your story.